I have a secret to share with you guys. I'm actually a massive fan of the Warhammer universe, so when Frontier invited us to try out their new game, Warhammer Age of Sigmar Realms of Ruin, and it's an RTS game, you know we had to give it a shot and let you guys know what's up with this new title. When I think of a Warhammer game, the first thing that actually comes to mind is the Dawn of War series that I played way too much back in the day. This is the benchmark for an awesome RTS game for me, both with amazing solo campaigns and pretty epic multiplayer battles. Even though I'm a filthy 40k Tau collector for tabletop, I have dabbled in Age of Sigmar with a small Sylvaneth army, so it is interesting to try out an RTS game that's set in Age of Sigmar instead of 40k like those old Dawn of War games. This game is coming out on PC as you would expect for an RTS, but is also dropping on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, so it's going to be there to scratch that itch for any RTS players playing on console. For my hands-on time playing, I was able to do 3 single-player missions, each using the Stormcast Eternals as the playable faction. The first mission was basically a tutorial to get to grips with the controls, while the second mission did have us progressing through a map and capturing various points to keep the Arekkz Kruleboyz at bay, as they were our first enemy and were a previously revealed faction within the game if you've been following it. However, in the third playable mission that I got to try, the difficulty definitely ramped up, and we were able to fight against a newly revealed faction, the Nighthorns, which did add some nice variety and change from the Arekkz as they were in the tutorial and the second mission. Well, initially I was really enjoying the setting and the story of what I got to play. What I did find most interesting though was the direction of the actual RTS gameplay itself. Traditionally, when I think of the minute-to-minute gameplay of an RTS game, with something like Command & Conquer, StarCraft, or those old Dawn of War games, I'll be managing my resources, capturing points, using my resources to build up a base and defenses with different buildings, barracks and tech upgrades to start making an army. Well, this new game, Realms of Ruin, goes in a different direction from those more traditional RTS games and is perhaps more similar to the Dawn of War 2 games. You're still going to be capturing points with your units. However, you don't directly build and place things as you would in those older titles. Instead, you build something on the capture points themselves with different options for resource generation, turrets, and more. Producing units does cost resources, but they spawn from your base side of the map and come in from the edge instead of coming directly out of a HQ or barracks style building. The same can be said for the enemies. They will spawn from holes around the edges of the map. So although you can capture various points around the map and build on them to cut off those resources, they will still endlessly spawn from various points around the map with seemingly no way to stop it beyond keeping units nearby while trying to finish your main objective somewhere else on the map. Personally, I much prefer the way that these old school RTS games do it, where you get to build up a base of operations, maybe even make a forward base, and then destroy your enemy's base to wipe them out. So mechanically, it was a bit different to get used to. However, the combat itself, the unit variety and abilities on those units were pretty good, and if you know a little background of these types of units from the tabletop game, it was pretty cool to see some crossover. With these things in mind, I feel there was less micromanaging involved, as you didn't have to manage resource gathering units, building placement, and so on. However, you did still have your hands full while capturing those points and building on them, upgrading them, and replacing your fallen units. Due to the constant flow of enemies attacking you and retaking your points, you really did have to be on top of things, especially in that third Nighthaunt mission that I mentioned before. While I can't speak in blanket terms because I haven't finished the game, tried out all the different modes and the multiplayer, from the brief bit that I did try, I think if you're a big fan of the Age of Sigmar side of Warhammer, this would probably be quite enjoyable to go through, at least for the story and narrative. However, from a purely RTS point of view, you would definitely need to enjoy the way that Realms of Ruin differs from older RTS gameplay, as I think that will be make or break for some players expecting to build up a base instead of just capturing points. I didn't get to play any of the other modes or multiplayer myself, but those could definitely add a lot more to the table, which we'll have to wait and see how they play. And I will say that although I'm not playing RTS games every day, I would consider myself somewhat competent at them, having played a lot of different types of RTSs in both solo and multiplayer in the past. Most recently, we had a lot of fun on Iron Harvest, because here at Arekkz Gaming we were having a lot of multiplayer sessions between ourselves, and they were a bunch of fun. So with this in mind, I did find that third mission that I played to actually have some challenge. Because I couldn't directly stop the enemies from constantly spawning in, I was always under pressure, my points were always being recaptured away from me, and my units were getting whittled down slowly with each fight. So while the challenge was nice, and I may have missed something to do with how these enemies were constantly spawning, maybe it was purely just this mission, but I think I would prefer a more direct way to intervene with the enemy's reinforcements by destroying certain buildings and cutting them off. Ultimately, I only played a small chunk of the game, and what I did play was actually quite fun. But I definitely found myself missing the way that the older Dawn of War games played in terms of the actual structure of the minute-to-minute gameplay. Maybe I am clinging to the past too much, but I am desperate for another Warhammer RTS that really delivers as much as those old Dawn of War games did. Age of Sigmar Realms of Ruin is definitely on my radar, and I can't wait to learn more about it and see the other modes and how the multiplayer actually plays. Again, from a story point of view, I think this could be very fun, but I'm more so interested in the exact gameplay and again how these other modes and multiplayer will go. So for now, I would say keep your eye on the game and let's see how things pan out. Thank you for watching, and the 2 videos on screen now we think you'll really enjoy if you did enjoy this one. We have loads more games coming your way soon, so make sure you're subscribed and check these videos out on the screen if you haven't seen them already. And then tell us what you think after watching in the comments down below.